Hey there, welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. My name is Raven, and today's video is kind of a hot mess, and I'm really sorry. I had the best of intentions, and I was really looking forward to doing like a really comfy, cozy vibe video of planning with the new moon. I did a lot of plan with me's last year, and I felt like it was really good and regulated and contained, and I have completely fallen off board with that. I thought that doing new moon planning instead of monthly would be a good way to really incorporate spiritual practices into the more tangible, logical side of things. I actually held off on using my Good Notes planner on my iPad for like a couple of weeks so that we could, fill it all out together for the new moon. Then when I was getting ready to film, I realized that I don't really want to use my Good Notes planner anymore. I don't feel like it's really helpful for me to transfer everything into my planner if I'm literally just copying and pasting from my Google Calendar. And the thing is, I've been using my Google Calendar pretty regularly. I leave my iPad in my office every night. I don't like carrying it around the house very much. Don't ever really go back and check things off in my planner anymore. I have my phone with me so I can just check things off on my Google Calendar whenever, at any point in the day. So it's not really helpful for me anymore, which is so weird because I really depended on a planner for the longest amount of time. But I feel like I finally got into a situation where my Notion is like a really good reference tool and a really good tracker for moving parts like videos and craft projects, so it just doesn't really seem to make sense for me to need my planner. So now I don't know how to do plan with me's, and I don't know if I'm going to be doing more new moon plan with me's, which is just so unexpected. I don't know where we're going to go from here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I spent 3 hours trying to set up my Notion dashboard, not because I really wanted it to look a certain way and be pretty and aesthetic, but just because I kept doing things very wrong and accidentally deleting things and then having to go back into the history and pull up a previous version from the day before because I deleted my video schedule 3 times at least. I did not make you guys sit through all of that in time. If that's something you guys want to see in the future, that's fine. It will be a hot mess. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. If you guys want more digital plan with me's and digital Notion things, let me know what you want to see so that I know what to record and film, because the whole not needing my planner anymore has been a curveball that I was not emotionally prepared for, and I have no clue what I'm doing anymore. I wanted to go ahead and do a little tour of the Notion and Google Calendar setup. This is the duo that I've been using to plan for the last couple of weeks, and I've used them as a part of my system for a lot longer than that. I feel like this is probably the most functional setup I've had in Notion, and let's go ahead and get started. So my dashboard is pretty simple. I was struggling so much with getting it to do what I wanted to yesterday that I didn't really have any energy to try and make it look pretty or anything like that. So I just wanted it to at least be functional, and I think in the future I want to use this as sort of a mood board spot over here. Obviously we've got 3 pages up here, and then over here in my currently, I played around with the idea of having it be all of my current events, and that felt like too much overlap and something that I wasn't gonna keep track of, so I just kept it to currently watching, currently crafting, and currently reading. I don't think I have anything reading related in my Notion, or if I do, it's dead to me. Crafting and watching, I do actually have boards on in my life section, but I felt like just keeping a couple of things on my current board wasn't too bad. I didn't put a lot of effort into the whole to-do section. Moving into my life section, the first board, and this is one that I actually do use pretty frequently so far, is planning. I broke everything down. I really like the gallery view, if you can't tell. I broke everything down between daily, weekly, monthly, seasonal, priority buckets, and state parks. The state parks one is completely empty. It's just something that my husband and I talked about doing over the fall and winter, so I have a spot for it, and we'll come back to it later at some point. Priority buckets, These are things that I did in my planner when I was trying to figure out what I want to prioritize as far as planning and having space for in my life. They're pretty simple, but I felt like if I was going to add them into every other section, also having a spot for the priority buckets wasn't a bad idea, and I can change them and edit them now. Seasonal, I think last year or the year before, I felt really sad that I hadn't gotten to do almost anything leading up to Christmas and winter holidays. So I decided to break down and make like a little template of all the seasonal things that I want to plan. And I only filled out the winter stuff. And I feel like I'm gonna go ahead and plan these out and have them as a resource as the seasons come. So like right now, spring just has the holidays and summer is the same way. Autumn, I have the holidays, and the holidays have dates, which is obviously very, fancy and advanced. And then the winter has holidays, adventures, and making things. Holidays, I've got like the movies that we always watch, the food that we really like to have for those specific days. And I had my husband help me fill this out, and it was just a really nice thing, and I'm excited to have this, and especially to have it for all of the occasions. Adventures and dates, this is like things that every year we forget to do it, or we do it and we're like, yeah, that was really nice, and then when we forget to do it, we're like, oh shit, we should have done that. So now we actually have a list and we can plan it out, and I don't forget. This is mostly food, but I think that's because, winter food is very important. Going into the monthly, this is the first time that I got to kind of use this earlier. I have all of the buckets, and then once you open the bucket, I get to see what I need to make sure is scheduled. I made this template for my planner, my written planner. All of this is sort of already in my Google Calendar, because when I make a doctor's appointment, I have my phone out and am putting it directly into my Google Calendar, and then I come home and transfer it into my planner. So I don't know entirely how much all of this is going to be used. Like the health, I don't think is going to be used at all. The crafting isn't. The hearth, magic, and morale probably will, but almost all of the rest of this is already in Notion or in my Google Calendar somewhere and already done. So this will be adjusted as I go, but it was a good starting point. Weekly is one that I probably use more than any of the others. I have the priorities again. I felt like I didn't need to see all of them, so it's in a toggle header. I went ahead and did like a kind of brief, not necessarily time blocking, but just a focus of the day. Obviously, I haven't done anything for home or health because those are things that I tend to organize the day of. However, my energy levels and whatever needs to be done most. The content and shop I do have planned out, and very basic and something that I tend to just already have in my head, but it's nice to have out and not in my head because my brain is not good for storage. The meal planning is actually been really helpful. It's just some basic tables for all of the different meals. Having the dinner table has been just so helpful. I've only been using it for a couple of weeks. I haven't used this at all. I used it to remember that I had bananas to make banana bread, and that was it. And in the daily section, I just have sort of like a brief time blocking guide and what my general Pomodoro is. These don't change very often, but I felt like if I was having a day where I was having trouble getting started, I could have this reference and just look at it real quick and then put it in my Google Calendar and just go from there. But I tend to do this without the guide. Okay, moving over into the food board, this gets used quite a lot. Basically, I forget what food I like all the time, and whenever my husband asks me what I want to eat, I have no idea. So I started just making a database of food that we both like, and it's The table is just like takeout, cooking at home, frozen meals, like all of the things. I have all of these properties that it's not gonna let me. I have all of these properties that help to break down the meal and make it easier to find. Meal, how much energy it takes to make, how customizable it is, because my husband and I eat very different styles. If it's meal prep friendly, most of the food that we have is not meal prep friendly. And for health, we have works for everyone, not nutritional, but not painful, will cause minor discomfort to at least one of us, and will cause moderate to severe discomfort. Availability or location is just pretty self-explanatory. Flavor profile is one that I have a lot more fun with. And then protein, I had to hold back from adding cheese as a protein because I know what technically is, but I would abuse that so much. And so this is just, if we want to figure out something to do with any of this, we can find it. I don't use the table. The table is more just for brain dumping. What I do use mostly is meal planning, and that is filtered to just all of the things that we cook at home. I can just open any of these tabs to look at, and then I can just like filter more if I need to, and then those go, whatever I pick for the week goes into that weekly planning board. There's room for improvement, but this has been helping so much. Crafts and gift notes I won't be opening because there's gift notes in there, so no. Currently watching, I haven't updated this in a while, but it's cool to have, and I don't know if I'll go back to using it because it's a lot. Home friction is one that I first started using, and I don't use it often, but when I do, I feel like it's pretty helpful. Basically, if there's just anything that's bothering me in the house and getting in my way, then I just go ahead, dump it in here, figure out like why it's bothering me, what area of the house it's in, how irritating it is, and then I just have a spot for possible solutions. Even if I don't do anything with it, it's nice to just get it out of my brain, but so far it has helped me come up with a few solutions around the house. Moving on to the content, most of this is not set up at all. However, this I use all of the time. I'm in here every single day that I am working on content. I have my content upload schedule. I have my filming and shooting schedule, which you did see me put this all in my Google Calendar, but then when I transferred it back over here, it's now a card in the system, and it's a video that is already added. Then I have the status of everything. I love Kanban boards so much. I don't use it for the Instagram grid things because I go through my pictures, I edit them, and then I just throw them up on the upload schedule, and that's it. Short vertical videos, I've been sort of batch filming them or filming them very impulsively, and then they get transferred into my hard drive. They get put in the edit list, and then they go through all of the steps. They don't get scheduled until they have been edited, and then YouTube is a little bit backwards where I schedule when I'm going to film something, then it gets put in the edit schedule. But I'm trying to transition over to waiting until something is finished to schedule it so that I don't try to meet a deadline. I say that while this specific video, I was waiting for the new moon to start recording, and I wanted it to go up the Monday after so that it was close enough to the new moon to make sense. This video is the one that has stressed me out the most, so it's a good system when I use it. My hashtags is for Instagram to add to posts. They're not updated at all, and I haven't used them at all. I've just been doing everything manually. Backburner, I'm pretty sure is empty. Oh, it's got 2 things on it. Links is empty, and inspo is mostly just sort of graphic design ideas because I feel like my thumbnails always have a lot of room for improvement and they're not very visible. I think they look cute and I like the style, but I tend to overcrowd them, and having these as references sort of help me to back away and put less things in. The last page is my shop. I don't use most of these at the moment. I have an Etsy shop. It's technically open. I haven't added anything to it in a while. I'm trying to finish a batch of amigurumi patterns that I've been working on to sell the amigurumis, the plushies. I'm trying not to rush it. So right now I only use these two boards over here, and that's just, you know, to keep track of all of the moving parts of the amis that I'm making. And then I also make planner spreads, which I feel like is ironic since I don't want to use planners anymore. But almost all of these are completely empty. That's it as far as my Notion setup. Moving over into Google Calendars, I have gone ahead and just closed out my finances and contacts. Contacts is just like all of the birthdays that I have in my Google contacts, and then finances are like all of the bill dates basically. Here's the monthly view with, oh, I don't know how to turn off the dark view on Notion. I know I've done it before, but I don't know how to do it. I'm really sorry if it's hard to see. Here is my Google Calendar monthly view. I never use this. Monthly view is just too much of a gray space for my head to use. Most of the time I open my calendar up to a weekly view, and that is just so that I can see kind of what's happening this week, and then I close it and I go into a daily view to do my time blocking in. I will just keep the daily view open while I work throughout the day. I used to try and time block absolutely everything. It was always overwhelming. I hated getting the notifications, and it just felt like I was always running behind because I never had my morning routine done when I said that I would want it done, and I never gave myself enough time to buffer. So as you can see, I'm not really doing much time blocking outside of appointments, work tasks, sort of boxing myself in as far as work tasks go. Feel like it's a bit much to expect myself to stay on schedule all day, but just blocking out like this, it's actually been working really well for me for almost a month now, I think. I also normally have this with a nightlight on, and right now it feels so bright, but that is it. I did show on this phone screen recording that I have my morning and evening routines as repeating checklists that I can just check off every morning, and I don't do a full morning routine every day. But sorry, I heard the rabbits getting into something and I completely forgot what I was saying. I don't check off everything every morning. It does help me to recenter if I'm having a really groggy morning, and if I'm having a good morning and I check off all the things, I just feel accomplished. This style of planning doesn't include a lot of checking things off, so I like getting to have it in my morning and evening routines. Oh, and Google got rid of reminders in the calendar, so now everything is task based. So now I just have all of my medication and such in tasks instead of reminders, which isn't too much of a difference other than like where they get moved around to. So that is it as far as my planning. It's so much more simple this way, and I feel like I overcomplicated it by talking too much.